What's up, guys? Jay back here for the first What If since, like, I don't know, September, October. This is going to continue off of What If Derek Killed Allison Argent. It's in that timeline. I'll make a playlist called the What If Scott Became an Alpha at the end of season 1 and What If He Killed Peter timeline playlist, so you guys can check all the videos out in the series. But today's going to be, I think, part 4, because the first video was What If Scott Killed Peter at the end of season 1. Then the second video was What If Scott Gave Styles the bite. And then the third video is what if Derek killed Allison in Teen Wolf during, like, around the time of Teen Wolf season 2. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy. I don't know if the story's gonna be a bit rusty to you guys or not. It's my first What If and well over half a year. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy, and let's get into it. Last time we explored this universe in the Teen Wolf multiverse, Allison Argent was tragically killed by Peter Hale to enact his plan of revenge on Scott McCall in a petty and jealous effort. This was because Scott McCall took an opportunity to kill Peter Hale during the events of early 2011, and he became the new Alpha. From there, he would go on to build his pack, including his former girlfriend Allison and his best friend / newly turned beta werewolf Styles Stilinski. Following a mission gone wrong, Derek saw the opportunity to kill Allison, leading to Allison's death at the hands of Hale. Scott, in anger and frustration, tracked Hale back to the Hale house, where he would proceed to end his life. Elsewhere during these events, other factors were playing in the surprise return of former Alpha Peter Hale. You see, Peter has been talking to newly awakened Banshee Lydia Martin through visions of his younger self. She would see him at school, her house, and sometimes she would find herself sleepwalking and ending up at the Hale house. A couple of weeks after Scott killed Derek in front of his childhood home, Lydia was Lydia's birthday party. At the party, she drugged everyone with wolfsbane-laced drinks, including Styles and Scott. This was all under the influence of Peter, who needed Lydia to bring Scott to his place of burial. Due to Scott being an alpha, he had enough power to bring Peter back under the light of a full moon and under certain conditions, and Peter was brought back to life and stood over a confused Lydia and a terrified but physically worn down Scott. 4 months have passed since that time, and Peter has been slowly but surely recovering his strength since returning back to life in April 2011. It's now August, and it's a few days before Scott McCall's junior year of high school begins. A vicious pack hearing about a Hale becoming an alpha in Beacon Hills made their way towards the town. The name of this pack was the Alpha Pack, consisting of augmented alphas who got stronger and more powerful than they normally would be by killing their betas and adding their sparks to their own, making them extremely dangerous and more powerful. They were led by a man named Deucalion, who was a close friend of the evolved alpha werewolf and Peter's older sister, Talia Hale. Currently today, Peter is on his own with no living family members that he's aware of, and little does he know, a blast from the past is coming back to provide him with an offer that he can't refuse. Quick disclaimer, if there were some parts that seem off in the recap, or if you notice some parts that were not mentioned as it relates to what happened, or what actually happened in the TV show, I leave it up to the viewers to use their imaginations to theorize what took place in the gaps in these alternate stories / timelines. So yeah, just be aware of that while you're watching this video. It's August 12th, a nice quiet Friday evening in Beacon Hills, California. Former alpha werewolf Peter Hale, now living a laid-back and quiet life since being resurrected, has been plotting his revenge on Scott McCall. Deep down, he wanted nothing more than to get his status as an alpha werewolf back. Over the last few months, he heard about Derek's death at the hands of Scott, a death that truly hurt him, even though Peter became an expert at hiding his emotional side. He looked at Derek as not only his nephew, but a younger brother, seeing as he played an older brother role to Derek for most of his life. The fact that he died at the hands of Scott McCall fueled even more anger, frustration, and rage deep within Hale's cold-blooded and ruthless heart. Although Derek died, Peter was proud of the fact that Derek managed to kill one of the Argents, let alone the most important one to Scott, his own girlfriend. Peter found extreme pleasure in the fact that she was dead and buried 6 feet under in the ground. He knew that he could take advantage of her death the moment he encountered Scott again in a proper fight. A couple of minutes later, a knock was heard from the front door of his apartment. He looks through the opening hole only to see a dark red eye staring right back at him. Peter knew that it was an alpha. He just wasn't sure which alpha it was. He opened the door, and to his surprise, it was an alpha he knew from when he was a kid and a teenager. The second in command of the Alpha Pack, Kali. and behind her were Ennis, another alpha, and two unfamiliar faces, twins, in fact, that were also alphas. Peter backed up from the doorway as the alphas came in and began to surround him. Peter began to laugh a little bit while telling the alphas that a 4-on-1 was a little bit unfair for a werewolf who's barely been back from the dead for a few months. His eyes shifted to a dark and empty blue as he prepared to take on the 4 alphas. Peter then stopped as he heard tapping from the hallway floor outside his room. He knew this familiar sound all too well. As a man suddenly appeared in his doorway, the other alphas backed off and just left Peter standing in front of the man. He had on a pair of red glasses and was holding a white cane to help with his vision impairment. Peter's face and his mood shifted to that of annoyance. Well, look who it is. Big Sis's old best friend, Deucalion. Deucalion was the man's name, the leader of the Alpha Pack. You know, Peter, there's a reason I was always so fond of Talia compared to you. Your narcissistic personality is what kept you from reaching the same potential she did. Maybe you could have evolved too, but not everyone in life reaches their full potential. Peter then gets annoyed and begins to walk towards Deucalion, with Kali lifting up her finger in front of him and waving it back and forth, signifying that he should immediately back away from him. Look, Peter, we didn't come here to harm or kill you, believe it or not. We came to provide you with a very enticing offer. Don't waste your time, Duke. The Hale isn't an alpha. He's a waste of time. Deucalion told his subordinate that he disagreed with her and that Peter could be extremely useful as a member of their pack. The blind alpha walked towards Peter and put his hand on his shoulder. Let's all have a seat and you can explain to us why we were told a Hale had become the new alpha of Beacon Hills. After a few minutes of everyone getting settled down, Peter sat on his couch while the Alpha Pack stood up in different areas of the living room. Peter began going into detail describing the events from Season 1. Let's see. It was a night where the school had a dance, and if I remember, I was still an alpha and I was making my final moves to finally get revenge on Kate Argent for killing my sister and my relatives through arson. Let's see, a lot of the details in that final conflict, are still fuzzy, obviously, from being dead for a bit. From what I remember, I had a fight with my nephew and McCall. That was after I killed Kate Argent and left her for dead on, the floor with her throat ripped open. After I was burned alive by Styles and Jackson, Aiden begins to laugh at the fact that an alpha was burned alive by 2 teenage humans. Kali tells them to shut up because that could have easily been the both of them. Peter continued the story after the childish antics of Ethan and Aiden. Those were the names of the alpha twins that Peter did not recognize before. Continuing on, after I was burned alive by those 2 imbeciles, I was lying on the floor, back in human form, nearly dead, incapacitated and severely burned. I couldn't move. My healing was slowed down significantly. Let's see. Derek and Scott were arguing over who gets to kill me, and it ended up being that miserable piece of filth, McCall. And then everything went black until I was able to extend my consciousness to the Banshee and help her revive me. And yeah, that's all I remember. Deucalion stood up and expressed how he felt after listening to the story. Well, Peter, I have to say you did go through a tough ordeal being an alpha for that short amount of time that you were one. Before your death, it seemed like you had the ability to shift into an 8-foot-tall, monstrous wolf form. Very impressive indeed. Not many werewolves can do that. Peter explained that he was only able to do that because of the mental state he was in during his time as an alpha, and he's unsure that even if he became an alpha again, he could still access that form. Kali explains to Peter that there is a way he can still access that transformation again, or at least harness its power into a more stable form. She also informs him that Deucalion has already mastered this technique. Deucalion then tells Peter to sit back and allow him to demonstrate just what Kali was explaining to him. Peter then looks in shock as he sees Deucalion shift his body into a muscular, beastly form. His skin became dark gray, his muscles became more pronounced, and his irises disappeared as his entire eyes became deep red, similar to blood. His fangs also changed to become more feral and beast-like. After the transformation, all the alphas in the room looked on in honor and respect. Deucalion walked up to Peter and placed his hand on his left shoulder once again. He began talking to Peter, and his voice changed as well, becoming more deep and more masculine.
Peter, this power you see before you is the power of your beast form in a more controlled and stable form. Power like this is only reserved for the strongest of the species. You clearly were worthy of that power, seeing as you were one of the few to access that monstrous form through enough rage, anger, and being out of control. This pack I began putting together after I lost my eyesight. Some of the most unique werewolves were gifted with extraordinary abilities are standing before you in this pack. You have the potential to be alongside these few gifted ones you see before you, including me. This Scott McCall seems like a problem who's getting in the way of you reaching your maximum potential. We specialize in getting rid of pests for our brothers and sisters to reach their maximum potential. As I'm sure you're aware, I'm all about maximizing the talent that is provided to me. We can get rid of this pest for you, weakening him with our combined might. Once he's weakened, you can kill him and get all the power and strength that is rightfully yours. Interested?
Peter smirks with an evil grin, and his eyes glow blue again as he says one word, looking at the augmented alpha, who smirked right back at him. Yes. So that's going to do it for part 4 of this timeline where Scott killed Peter at the end of season 1. Next video, part 5, will be what if Peter Hale killed the Alpha Pack. It's going to be a very, very good what if. I have a lot. It's going to be a good what if. It's going to be a good what if. But it was really nice coming back to doing this, man. Like, I miss doing these what if videos. You can get very creative with these stories, you know. I kind of took some pieces from the lore that are factual and then kind of added my own spin to it. Kind of just included some of the fan theories a lot of people had into a lot of these what if videos. So, yeah, really had a great time making this. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you guys leave a like. Make sure you guys also comment down below, leave your thoughts on this what if. Let me know what I can improve on. Let me know how my voice acting is. I know it's not the best voice acting ever, but I am trying to improve at it, so let me know how I did. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications after hitting that bell icon next to the subscribe button to never miss a future what if video from me. And I'm Jades Corner. Make sure you guys have a great rest of your day. As mentioned before, next video will be what if Peter Hale killed the Alpha Pack. That'll drop next week. And yeah, deuces. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.